Halliburton on the drive. Can't get it. Toppin on the follow. Obi Toppin gives the Pacers a 7-point lead. The Thunder a chance to take the lead. Gilgeous-Alexander on the drive. Pulls back. Baseline jumper's good. OKC with their first lead of the second half.
Two players with incredible Clark, another long three. She's back. And then steps back with the three over Breanna Stewart.
Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where today we will be talking NBA Finals reactions, some NBA trades, and this week in WNBA action. Before we get started, I wanted to remind you all that you all can hear the audio version of this podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify and Amazon Music. Now, to get us started, I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith and co-host Logan Hatfield. How we doing, fellas?
What's going on?
What a week. what a week indeed. I know Logan's had a crazy week moving and all of that. He showed us a little bit of his apartment. It's like a cool spot. But what a week. It's been ups and downs. And yeah, that's all I got without getting too introspecting on this. So
Yeah, no, coming from a new location, recording live here from Memphis, Tennessee. Right downtown, new scene. So I'm excited. Excited for this next little phase of my life, and a little new setup for the show.
did you see Desmond Bane on his way out?
No, I did not. No, that news broke this morning, but did not catch him at all.
I was going to say that move might have sparked some, Logan, but we might have to talk about that.
Perhaps they traded Desmond Bane for you.
Yeah, they're actually signing me to a 10-day. So
That's so real. All right, well, we will get into it. The NBA Finals are locked in, 2 games apiece, as we all know. These guys have some invested interest. So, Logan, we'll start with you, the most recent fandom of the winter fandom. What'd you see from your team?
yeah, specifically in Game 4, what I saw was OKC. They did what the Pacers do every game. They hung around long enough, and then they took their opportunity when they had it. And, SGA had a stellar fourth quarter, doing what MVPs do and kind of putting the team on his back there at the end. Scoring, I believe it was 15 of the last 16 or some, I don't know the exact number, but there was 1 point in the last that wasn't scored by him. And I don't like putting entire games and losses on just one person, but wow, did Benedict Mathurin sell that game for the Indiana Pacers. Coming off of the best playoff game he's ever played, and then he does two technical fouls on out of bounds passes, and then misses 3 out of 4 free throws in the clutch. You gotta feel for the guy, but at the same time, like what happened to what happened in Game 3? I'm baffled. The most weirdest inconsistency. And also another player on Indiana that didn't perform was Miles Turner. Did not live up to what he's been putting up this offseason or this postseason as well. And you kind of have grown to expect more from him, especially seeing what he's done recently. But it's a best of 3 series now, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go. OKC getting back the best home court advantage in the NBA is important, and I just can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. Pretty good way to summarize it to this point for you. Not quite as long, didn't run quite as long as last time. So let's start with Game 3. I want to go there because I felt like the Pacers did a lot of what I had asked them to do in that podcast on Sunday. Halliburton didn't score a bunch, but he was definitely more assertive. He was trying to find his shot a lot earlier than you saw in Game 2, and you saw the benefits of that in that game. And we had Benedict Mathurin step up, and he was definitely probably the main reason we won that game. I mean, he was the leading scorer on our team. So Mathurin definitely won us a game and unfortunately lost us a game in game 4. But we'll get there. Another guy who won us that game was TJ McConnell, though. It's the TJ McConnell show, was a legacy game. TJ McConnell's legacy game. That's the word. That was game 3 of the NBA Finals. He kept up that effort in game 4, of course, and he has that effort. He brings that effort every single game, but it was especially realized there in game 3, and I even saw a bunch of edits that came out from that. So I think our bench really was the main factor there. Our starters did well. I mean, Hallie had 22, 11, and 9. Hopefully that's good enough for Kendrick Perkins. Pascal Siakam had 21. He's been playing out of his shoes. As you mentioned, Miles Turner has been playing poorly, but his defense has been really great. He has been disrupting Chet. He got 2 major blocks in that game 3. So while offensively I am disappointed in his performance, I think that's more of a testament to him going up against Chet. As much as he hasn't looked as good on the offensive end, and we can talk about that if you want to, Logan. I haven't been too impressed. He had a great start in game 3, but since that, he's kind of been kind of iffy on the offensive end. But I am impressed with Miles Turner's defense on Chet and all around. Another talking point as we move into game 4, I think Kenny put at game 3 the best. The Pacers kind of just out-thundered the Thunder. I would say in this case, in game 4, the Thunder out-Pacered the Pacers. So it was the Pacers really throughout that game, and the Thunder found a way to get the win in the end. The Pacers helped them. They handed them that win in a lot of cases, and a lot of Pacers fans are pointing at the refs. Was there some ref ball? Absolutely. It's Scott Foster. It could be the Magic versus the Wizards, and there's some ref ball going on there. So I'm not necessarily saying that's why we lost this game. It's definitely Benedict Mathurin. It's some team mistakes. It's Miles Turner not performing as well as we're used to him playing on offense. But it's also Shea. Shea put up an outstanding performance. Maybe traveled 4 steps, but that wasn't the entire game for certain. And got to give credit to J-Dub, who is playing like an absolute stud throughout these playoffs. I said before the series that that Nembhard is better than Williams, and deep down I may still think that, but it's not going to be shown on this NBA Finals stage. Also, credit to Alex Caruso, who is just the battle between him and TJ McConnell on the bench is so enjoyable and really fun to see. I do have some questions for the flagrant fouls and whatnot. I feel like those have been really. I felt like Aaron Nesmith was clearly a flagrant foul in the first game, and then it was pretty questionable the one that I believe Obi had in game 2. I see where it was coming from, but Scott Foster. The last thing I do want to leave on, you mentioned Benedict Mathurin. I was curious why he was playing late in that game. He really hadn't shown much throughout. He had a couple good plays, I guess, but nothing really out of the ordinary. And essentially, Carlisle pulled Aaron Nesmith after fouling Shea on the nice little elbow tap, which I'm sure it was one of the questionable calls I had for Scott Foster. Like, is there a foul there? Sure. Was it really that bad of a foul when you look at some of the stuff Lou Dort does to us? I don't think so. But so Nesmith fouls Shea, gets pulled out, and Benedict Mathurin comes in and essentially stinks the game away. And so I'm just kind of curious what the rotational decision was there for Carlisle. And I mean, Mathurin had only played 13 minutes that entire game, so it's not like he had played nearly as much as he did in game 1 or the game prior, not game 1. But all in all, 2-2. This is a best of 3 series, as Logan said, and I'm very, very happy to be here. I think we know no matter where we're at, whether it be Thunder or Oklahoma City game 5 and 7, Indianapolis game 6, I think it's going to be a hell of a game. That could really go either way, and that's really all I think either of us can ask for.
Oh, yeah, no, without a doubt. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Aaron Nesmith fouled out after that play, right? That's why he was out.
Did he foul out?
I believe
I must have missed that.
Yeah, so that's what that would make a decent amount of sense why Mathurin was in that kind of situation. And yeah, I mean, Listen, you can say what you want about those calls, but like, I mean, I'm looking back at it, and the NBA did a final 2 minute report and saw no mistakes. So I mean, I really, I don't necessarily know if I trust the entire veracity of those, but
I was going to say the NBA is not the most trusted source in those, but I see your point.
yeah, I don't know. It's there's been a lot of ref ball played in these finals so far. I will
Indeed.
admit,
Both ways.
yeah, the refs are heavily getting involved, and you also brought up that Aaron Neesmith flagrant. I don't know how that's not because they said he didn't cock back, but there wasn't an attempt to make a play on the ball.
I mean, yeah, he was literally just grabbing on his shoulders.
But hey, it didn't get called, and the officials saw it otherwise. So you can't really complain about something that already happened. It's 2-2. We get a best of three. I really don't know. Like you said, what else I can ask for? So I'm excited to see where it's going to go, and yeah, I can't wait.
Alex, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
As an unbiased fan, because I'll be honest, I'm kind of putting this on. I'm not putting this on 3-1. That'll always have its own statue, but maybe like the tier below. I think in terms of finals, I fully understand that's just a biased take from me. From your standpoint, Alex, where would you rank? You don't have to give like an exact ranking, but like, what are some finals? I'll put it this way: what is the last final you would say is as this entertaining as this finals has been?
I feel like that's going to be a little biased too because I feel like I would say the bubble, but because I think that was just pure hoops as much as every NBA fan on Twitter wants to deny that. But the small market talk that everybody had coming into this, I think, has been blown away because this finals has been one of the most exciting that I can remember in recent years. I may be overlooking one, but I don't think I am. I would say the most exciting one since the bubble. So, from an unbiased perspective, I think it's been really exciting, and I'm very excited for these last three games.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I can kind of agree with you. I would say like 2024 and 2023. I mean, they're both series that ended in 5 games. You knew going in who was going to win each one. It wasn't really much of a toss up. And then, you could say between 2022 and 2021, I thought were both like entertaining finals. It featured some like hot starts from Boston and Phoenix, and they ended up squandering those titles away. But I do think that like the entertainment value we're getting is the best I've seen since that Raptors finals run, the bubble, the 3-1. Like we're back to some peak finals hoops, and I think it's what the NBA definitely needed. And I think they're also like seeing you don't need a huge market in the finals to be entertaining. You don't need the Knicks. You don't necessarily need the Lakers, the Celtics, all these huge, like big name teams that everyone knows about. Obviously, it's good when they're there. Yes, they're historic franchises, Alex. I saw your face. But you don't necessarily need that to just have good, entertaining hoops. And I think that's big for all small market teams around there. I think they're going to look at this roster construction and maybe take a page out of the Pacers and Thunder's book and see what they can do.
I'm fine if the Celtics never make another one, but the Lakers should be in every one, in my opinion. But anyways, neither here nor there. Game 3, I did break it down game by game as well. First off, talking about the refs, it's their finals too, fellas. Come on, show them some love. They need to be highlighted just as much.
How could I forget?
They worked hard.
How could I
They worked
forget?
just as hard to get here. But in
It's a
all
good point.
seriousness, the first half really a tale of the bench versus the starters because Indiana won the bench competition 30-11, and then OKC stayed in it by having their starters outperform Indiana's 49-34. And then the third quarter was OKC's. J-Dub had 20 by the end of the third quarter, and OKC was 10 of 18 from deep by the end of the third quarter. So they had a very good quarter there. But the second and fourth quarters, it changed a little bit in game 4, but not much, have seemed to be owned by the Pacers. And this one, the fourth quarter in this game was owned by the Pacers, 32-18, and that's what kind of sealed the deal. My biggest notes were from game 4, really. Oh, shout out to Benedict Mathurin as well. 27 most in a final since Jason Terry, the other Rick Carlisle team that won a championship. We'll see if this one does. But anyways, interesting parallel. Also, SGA not taking care of the ball was very rare to see. We talk about anomalies a lot. I don't think this one was, but a game like that from SGA is a bit of one with more turnovers than assists. Game 4, what are we doing with starting Hartenstein again? I don't. Maybe you could talk to him more, Logan,
No,
afterwards.
no, no, no. Please continue to start Hardenstein.
Listen,
But like,
I will speak to that for a second. This game was just I believe Mark Daigneault played 11 players in the first half. I could be wrong. I think it was maybe like 10 in the first quarter. I think it was just like an attempt at confusing them. You know, you've had Case and Wallace out there for the first 3, and you know they ended up getting the win. But I really think that this was just trying to throw them off, seeing if they could make an adjustment. I don't know if it initially worked. Not really. But the outcome was a W. So I guess he'll probably go back to it next game.
well, I think the outcome was a W
Thank
because they
God.
realized Hardenstein was not playable and he didn't play very many minutes. But neither here nor there. Indiana had 20 points in the first 5 minutes, and I think Hardenstein was a big part of that. I think Siakam having 10 points and 4 steals in the first quarter speaks to that as well. Siakam played well in that first quarter. And then OKC immediately went on a run when Hardenstein went out. So I feel like that's pretty incriminating on him, at least in this game. We talked about the second quarter. This one was pretty even, except for the non-Halliburton minutes. OKC kind of dominated those in that second quarter. And then J-Dub and Caruso with good halves. SGA not extremely aggressive like we normally see. He didn't have any free throws, which was weird. Third quarter was Indiana's advantage, especially in the non-Isaiah Hartenstein minutes. I talked about how poorly he's played in his minutes, especially in this game. But I feel like you kind of noticed where you needed him here because there was no rim protector. So Indiana was just getting to the rim whenever they wanted to because Chet was out guarding the perimeter. And then there was really, for OKC, no spacing on the offensive end because their best pick setter, especially for SGA, wasn't out on the court. So I feel like that hurt OKC's offense a whole lot. OKC was all SGA, Caruso, and J-Dub. That was very interesting. 60 of the first 80 points through 3 quarters. Fourth quarter was fun. Their first second half lead for OKC was at the 2:21 mark. And I tweeted about this. It felt like they were down 20 and they were up 1. So, like we've talked about pretty much this whole podcast, they kind of outpaced the Pacers in this one. And then SGA had 11 in the final 3 minutes. Indiana had 1 point. That's not going to get it done. Benedict Mathurin, I feel for him to go from game 3 to game 4 like this, but wow, what a performance by Shea. 131 points in his first 4 finals games, third most ever in the first finals, and a weird no assist game because it's the first 35 plus point no assist game since 1962 and Jerry West. So
Naturally.
if that doesn't speak to what an odd game this was, I don't know what will, but it was kind of just the Thunder taking a page out of Indiana's playbook and just executing it really well.
Yeah, no, so a few of the things that you mentioned that 35 points, no assists, just absolute buckets from Shea. He wasn't looking to do anything else this game, which we've been seeing it from him, especially in the finals. He has been looking to do a lot more playmaking, especially in that game 2 win. But today it was just get to the rim, get to your spots in the mid range, and even that clutch 3 he hit was shot to the Thunder for only making 3 threes and still winning an NBA Finals game. May never happen again. You also brought up that he had the third most. I saw the person who had the most was Rick Barry. He was frying
As we all would have
dudes
guessed.
out there. He was frying dudes out there. He averaged like 46 points a game in that finals. It was insane. And then I got to give Caruso his props as well. 0 20-point games during the regular season, 2 in the NBA Finals. That is a playoff riser if
Absolutely.
I've ever seen one.
All-time playoff riser. Oh, it's Caruso.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine a team giving him up. Anyways, any final thoughts from you guys? All right. Well, we will
No,
move.
I feel like we've aired it
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
we will move on to some other exciting news. If that wasn't exciting enough for you, uh, Logan may have been the most exciting move to Memphis, but there was another one. Uh, the Memphis Grizzlies shipped out Desmond Bain for KCP, 4 first-round picks, and Cole Anthony. So, fellas, how are we feeling about this? Colton?
I can't wait to welcome them to town.
Yeah. I think this is an overpay personally. I think Desmond Bain is a beautiful fit in Orlando. Do not get that twisted. But let me get this straight, right? Cole Anthony, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and 4 unprotected picks.
All unprotected.
I get, and you got to look at this from Orlando's perspective. Cole Anthony was like, what, they got like 4 guards right there. They were going to get rid of at least one of those, maybe more this summer. That was for certain. So that kind of diminishes Cole Anthony's value. However, I do think Cole Anthony has some really good potential. I don't know how he fits as, I guess, a backup point guard, but we know he'll get more minutes, and I think that can only bring good things for Cole Anthony's career in Memphis. And then you get Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who was supposed to be the big signing of the last offseason for the Magic. Didn't really work out. Will he work out in Memphis? We'll see. Or will he get traded back to Denver? That would be pretty funny. As the 4 picks, that's stellar. That's outstanding, especially the Memphis, who's like a sneaky good team at not necessarily needing a lottery pick to pick up some talented players. Zach Edey being one. They got the I can't think of his name, but I had him in fantasy. It's like Co-Chair or something like that. You guys know what I'm talking
John
about?
Conchar.
Yeah, him. They got him out of nowhere. So they're pretty good at acquiring some talent. So you give them 4 more extra picks over the next couple of years, maybe they build something with this core. But the rumor has it they might be looking for a completely different core. This might not be their last trade. They may be looking to move Jaw and Triple J. I don't know how true that is, but it is something that's on the table. We know Memphis has been moving mad here recently, and so we really don't know their next move. However, I will just quickly elaborate on what I said about Desmond Bain being a perfect fit in Orlando. I think he is exactly what they need. He's a great shooter. He's a great defender. So they don't even have to lose anything on the defensive end, putting him next to Jalen Suggs. But they do add a ton of offense at that 2-guard spot that they desperately need. I think they still need some more space, and they need to find a guy in free agency that can hit shots. But still, all in all, I do like this trade for Orlando. Although it is an overpay, it could pay off here within the next year or so. I think if they can stay healthy, even without Desmond Bain, they were going to be pretty good. I think if they stay healthy with Desmond Bain, they're going to be a scary team in the East.
No, yeah, definitely. And talking about the Memphis side of things as well, it scares me that, I might have to go catch a few Grizzlies games and, Ja and Triple J might not be there. I'll get to watch, Santi Aldama, the trolley problem is his known nickname, as everyone calls him. It's going to be his team now. So, no, it's interesting. It's interesting. I think it would make sense if you got that many picks for Desmond Bain. You have to make some calls about Triple J and Ja, just to gauge their price. And you can see the indication that I'm getting from getting 4 first-round picks in that first trade is they want to blow it up. They want to do one of those rebuilds, kind of like OKC did, where they're like, I think we've already gotten the most out of Paul George and Russell Westbrook that we can. So let's go ahead. Let's move them for their max value. And I think Ja Morant has, I'd say, sky-high value. Jaren Jackson Jr., another. You can get a lot for him, and you can get a few young pieces and then get a lot of picks and build a whole new core. And then once you have that sustained success, and that second apron comes to town, you can just do what the Thunder are doing and draft a new 3-and-D guy every year. It's almost a foolproof plan, and it's I think they set the blueprint, and I think Memphis is going to take a similar route. At least that's the indication I'm getting. I don't know. Would be a real shame now that I'm in town, but maybe they'll call me for an Exhibit 10 or something.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at this from both perspectives. I love this for Orlando because they fill the hole they need in like getting that reliable scorer. Desmond Bain scored almost 20 points a game on 48% from the floor and 39% from deep. So basically a 50-40 season from him. But they didn't have to give up this much. That's crazy. 4 unprotected first-round picks. Can we imagine what the KD and Giannis trade packages are going to be now? They're going to have to give up islands. But for Memphis, I'm just wondering what's next because I don't feel like this team is competitive. I feel like they weren't really competitive enough to win a championship last season, and they're definitely not now. So I don't see what their plan is unless they're planning either to blow it up and trade Triple J and Ja or sell those first round picks. But it just didn't make sense to me for either side really on this trade. I think if I had to pick a side that won, Orlando won, but I didn't really love it for either side as much as it is exciting that it's a blockbuster trade. Didn't really love it for either side, if I'm being honest.
That's fair.
All right.
We'll have to just wait and see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. But we will move on now to Foul or Flop, where we bring you our favorite quote of the week and discuss whether it was foul and they have a point, or flop and they're selling baloney. For mine this week, it comes from Ariel Atkins of the Chicago Sky, who, when talking about Angel Reese, said the amount of crap she gets on a day-to-day and still shows up. This is a 23-year-old kid who handles herself with grace. She has to build a wall because the way she looks and upholds herself. This is a foul for me. I couldn't have really said it better myself. Angel gets a lot of unnecessary hate in the WNBA. She could definitely get her numbers up efficiency-wise, but I feel like most of the hate she gets is bigger than basketball. But I won't really get on that soapbox because they were pretty quiet today when she had quite a game. So it's a foul for me. Would you all agree?
Yeah, I would say I mostly agree. Obviously, she does get a lot of that extra hate that is completely undeserved. However, like I kind of agree with what you said. Is that the hate that she does get on the court? I feel like you got to keep the same energy that you keep with everyone. I mean, she was shooting pretty poorly. I did see her performance today. She played very well, but overall, though, I would say I think I would have to agree that that's a foul. I think she's just pushing through, and she's showing up to work every day just like everyone else does. And a lot of other people don't have to deal with internet hate every day they go to work. So I think I'd have to probably agree with you on that one.
Yeah, definitely a foul for me too. I mean, I made comments on her efficiency stats and some other stuff, but I would say most fans don't keep that same energy when they're giving some Angel Reese hate. So, yeah, that's a foul for me.
Logan, you want to go next?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say like a little snippet of mine. Mine is kind of involving an entire press conference from one Scott Carlisle. I'm sorry, I said Scott Carlisle. Rick Carlisle. So he's talking about someone named Scott. So got the names mixed up there. So he basically had a whole press conference defending Scott Foster, which he said, "I've known Scott Foster 30 years. He's a great official. The ridiculous scrutiny that's thrown out there is terrible, unjust, unfair, and stupid. I am going to go ahead and not say that I agree with him and call it a foul. However, I will be calling this a foul because Rick Carlisle is playing the game."
Yeah.
I have to give him his props. Referees are humans too, and they're going to respond in kind. And I think Rick Carlisle is playing the game right now. And, how do you get a few of those extra calls that you might not usually get? You get on the ref's good side. That's a smart thing for him to do. As much as he probably didn't believe a single word that he just spoke, he said what the media may not have wanted to hear, but he said what Scott Foster wanted to hear, and I gotta go ahead and give him his credit. That's a foul from me, just strictly based off of tactics and strategy, not necessarily saying I agree with what he said.
Yep, foul. Let's go ahead and get Scott Foster on Game 7.
I would have to say foul as well. Me and Colton were actually talking about this quote before the podcast. He knew what he was doing very well. A savvy veteran move by an underrated coach. Good for him. Colton, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I love that. I'm sticking with the finals here. Stephen A. Smith has been quite the talk. Professional solitaire player, Stephen A. Smith. Everything else is just a side hustle. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, in response to what Tyrese Halliburton said about talking heads in his interview or his post-game press conference, I believe, on Game 3, he said, was not your peers who voted you overrated, not the media. You see how slick these dudes get? They try to point to the media. No, it's your colleagues. It's your contemporaries, present and former, who were questioning you. Maybe a fair point, but Tyrese was talking about how the media was telling him to be more aggressive, more assertive after Game 2, which was a fair point. However, I think this is flop because Stephen A. probably didn't even listen to what Tyrese said and just started talking about the overrated quotes that were coming out earlier this year. So give me a flop for Stephen A. Smith. And that just kind of is a representation of his entire week. Flop.
It would be a flop for me as well. Stephen A. doesn't even want to talk about the finals, as we've seen by First Take. Basically having conversations about KD and LeBron's legacy, even though we're in one of the best finals in recent memory. So Stephen A. Smith, as we said, the professional solitaire player, is a flop for this one.
Yeah, no, I'll go flop too. I don't hate Stephen A. as much as the average guy does. I think he's an entertainer at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't think he has any room to speak on this, especially when he's grossly misinterpreting what Halliburton's saying. And obviously, we've talked about the solitaire picture, but that is absolutely insane. How there's active finals basketball going on, and you're sitting up there playing solitaire.
People pay $700 for nosebleed seats to that game.
Exactly.
He gets paid to sit there and cover the game. The least you can do is be active and not lie about having a multi-view of the game on your phone. Which, first of all, why are you watching the game on your phone if you're at the game?
It's unreal. And by the way, did you know that Halliburton was voted most overrated by his peers? Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if they'd mentioned it a few times. And also, did you know that SGA and Nembhard were childhood friends?
No. Actually, I'd never heard that one.
They compete pretty well against each other, apparently.
Yeah. No.
It took me like some random post on Twitter to find out that SGA and Nickeil Alexander-Walker were cousins too.
What?
I didn't even hear them talk about it during the conference finals. It's so weird.
You know, I love broadcasting and I love sports commentators, but they need to get some new headlines because it's getting kind of tired. If they bring up this player vote one more time, I'm gonna probably mute my TV.
Hey, we might have 3 more games.
3 more mentions.
Get used to it.
Yeah, not even only mentioning the fans who would kill to be at the game. I feel like there are a couple people who would kill to talk about the game at the game while somebody else is playing solitaire, but I digress. So let's move on to this week in WNBA action. We'll take a look at the standings, where the Minnesota Lynx are in number 1, New York Liberty number 2, Atlanta in number 3, Phoenix 4, Las Vegas 5. Played a very good game today, those two teams did. Seattle 6, Indiana 7, Golden State 8, Washington 9th, LA 10th, Chicago 11th, 12th is Connecticut, and 13th is Dallas. So, fellas, no more undefeated teams after this week. Are there any other storylines that stuck out to us? Logan?
Atlanta. I know we talked about them a lot last week, but they are hanging around. And now that both the Lynx and the Liberty lost their first game, it's not seeming all that unrealistic that Atlanta might be able to make a little run. All the star power that Atlanta has been compiling together is now finally gelling, and it's working. One of the things I had written down was Alicia Gray is staying solid. I know I made her my choice for shooting star, and she is absolutely living up to it. She has been putting on ridiculous. She's putting up ridiculous numbers, and she's staying consistent for Atlanta as well, and being like a good steady hand for them. When they have she's out there playing with like Ryan Howard, and they're all playing wonderful. And I think Atlanta is going to make a serious run. Colton, I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Dream absolutely dog walked the Mystics, who showed a lot of promise early on in the year. Still a lot of year left, but they've definitely had a kind of a down tick in their season. But the Dream got the Liberty Tuesday, fellas. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be a really big game and a really good measuring stick for this Dream team, which I definitely am drinking the Kool-Aid on. And not even, what is that? Not even a week. Yeah, just about a week after that, they have the Lynx. So they get to play those two teams they are competing for. And if they are able to win both of those games, they are just a game out of the top, unless those teams even drop another one. So really big next couple of weeks for this Dream team. They play the Liberty 3 times actually in the next like 3 weeks. So huge opportunities for Atlanta, and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I think they win at least one of those matchups against the Liberty and give the Lynx a fight.
Yeah. And then for me, Caitlin Clark is back, unfortunately, for the rest of the WNBA. Her first victim was the then undefeated New York Liberty, and the Fever knocked them off 102-88. We do not have to talk about the starter situation. 25 points in the first half behind 6 threes for Caitlin Clark. Finished with 32, 8, and 9, so almost another triple-double in her already historic career. So shout out to Caitlin Clark for I talked about it on the pod maybe last week or the week before that she might be rusty coming back. She was not. She was ready. And then
No, sir.
my other point was Angel Reese, as we talked about, had a pretty good game, led her team to the W over the Sun today on Sunday, and did so with a triple-double, 11 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. Not to mention 3 steals and 2 blocks. Again, people are really quiet, but she's the third fastest ever to record a triple-double in a WNBA career, and the fastest ever for a front court player. So shout out to her. And if we don't have anything else, I think Colton had some trivia.
Yeah, I do have a trivia. I was going to add to that Liberty Fever game. Shout out to Kelsey Mitchell, who finished that game with 22 points. Clark had that 25 in the first half, but kind of tapered off. The Liberty were trying to catch up, and we're getting it close. Mitchell had 10 in the fourth quarter. Great way to separate the Fever there at the end and seal the deal. And also shout out to Sabrina. She might have lost, but she led the game in points with 34, doing her best to keep the Liberty in that game and get the win. It's going to be a lot on her shoulders with Jonquel Jones out with an ankle injury, and Leonie Fibich.
Mm-hmm.
I can say words. She's out with her national team. Is it a defined amount of time, or is it?
I haven't really looked
so
at
far?
I think it depends on how long the season lasts, and I guess that could depend on like postseason stuff. I'm not too familiar with the overseas situation, but I do know she is under contract with them, and it's not like the WNBA where you can just suspend the contract. So she does have to fill those obligations.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I am ready for that trivia question, though, and this will go back into the NBA. Just randomly saw this on my Twitter feed. So can you guys guess what team in the NBA is the only team to draft 3 All-NBA point guards in this century?
I'm going to go ahead and let Alex guess it because I know the answer.
Okay. All right, Alex.
In this century. Let me think. I'm just going to go with the Pacers because I can't think of anything.
If only. I'll give you one more guess and let you know that they're in the Western Conference.
Western Conference, okay. So they have to be good at drafting. The Clippers?
And it's funny you say they have to be good at drafting because it's actually the Sacramento Kings. They drafted Isaiah Thomas, they drafted Tyrese Halliburton, and De'Aaron Fox, all NBA point guards. So,
I guess they were good at drafting.
yeah,
They're just not good at keeping them.
Oh no, they're not too good at drafting
Yeah, that's
either.
true, that's
There's a
true.
couple examples of that, but they figured it out there at one point, at least with point guards, and yeah, like you said, not very good at keeping them.
All right, well, we will move on now to our WNBA pick'em to see who knows ball as we pick our winners for the biggest games of this WNBA week. The first one I have is 7 p.m. Tuesday on League Pass, Atlanta at the New York Liberty.
Had a
Colton,
feeling.
who you got?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. The Liberty down a couple players. Jones is, we don't know if she'll be back or not. She could be. She's day to day right now, but even still, I'm taking the Dream. Very, very impressed. I think their offense is going to surprise the Liberty, have them on their back into a corner. So yeah, give me the Dream to kind of stamp their name on this season and say, hey, we're gonna have a say in where this championship goes.
Logan?
I am with Colton on this one. I'm going to go ahead and take Atlanta. They're playing a great brand of basketball, and I think they're going to catch the Liberty sleeping a little bit. I'm looking at the line here. They got the Liberty by 8.5. I think that's a disrespectful line to Atlanta. So I take them to cover. I take them to win. Not that this is legal gambling.
I got some business to attend to, so yeah, you guys just keep going.
Yeah, I would agree that. I think that's a clean sweep from us, fellas, because I'm going Atlanta here too. With Phoebus being out, Ryan Howard's not going to have like a primary defender on her, so that's going to be crazy for them. And then Griner and Jones will be able to at least maintain Stewie a little bit. So I like Atlanta here for those reasons, and especially with the uncertainty of Jonquel Jones. If she plays, I still think Atlanta has a chance to win, but I don't think she's going to play. So I believe Atlanta will win this one. And then the second one I had was Sunday at 3 p.m. I was trying to pick between games for the Aces. Thought about the one on Tuesday, but I thought more even matchup would be the one Sunday that they had with Indiana. So for that one, Logan, who you got?
Man, the Aces have been the most confusing team, I think, ever, which makes me want to steer clear from them and take another road team here. I'm going to go with CC and the Fever. I think they're going to go on a little run here, especially having that jolt of Caitlin Clark back in the lineup. Like I heard on the broadcast, she was pulling up from Terre Haute, so she was putting up some shot, and if she's hitting those, it's lights out. You can't. It's not something you can defend, and I think the Aces are going to struggle with that a little bit. So give me the Fever in this one.
Colton.
Yeah, this might be another clean sweep. I'm going with the Fever. The Aces burned me last week, so go ahead and give me the Fever and CC to get her done.
Yeah, I think Caitlin Clark even shot my lights out. Don't know what's really going on, but recency bias maybe, but Indiana, I have winning this one. Can't wait to see the Aaliyah Boston versus Asia Wilson matchup. And I think Caitlin Clark does as much as the other Las Vegas guards on the offensive end combined. They will play some good defense, I'm sure. But for those reasons, I think I'm going with Indiana in this one. But we will move on now to our shooting star, where we pick our baller of the week. Colton, who you got?
It's funny, after game 3, it probably would have been Benedict Mathurin, but then the fourth quarter happened. I got to go CC, right? Like, Caitlin Clark coming back is incredibly hard for anybody just to, play at the same level, but to hit 3 threes in 33 seconds and drop 32 on a game. That's just impressive. I got to give a shout out to her. Very basic, but very worthy.
Logan.
Caitlin Clark was one of my original choices. However, given that she only played one game, I kind of didn't want to shoot that in. But I'm going to give it to Napheesa Collier. Extremely good week for her. She had 28, 10, and 4 on the 8th, 25, 9, and 5 on the 3 days ago, and then 32 and 8 on 81% shooting yesterday. That was ridiculous. So I gotta give Collier her credit. The future MVP of the season is playing like it. So yeah, I'm giving her flowers.
All right, for me, mine is actually Ari McDonald, somebody who's showing that the WNBA needs to expand their roster restrictions. With her time during the Fever, she averaged 11 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, and nearly 40% from 3. So she showed she could be a very great veteran piece for a team, and I would be surprised if she's not signed to a team very soon. If not, that's very sad. But if nobody else has anything, that's going to do it for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. I'm going to try to find my way out of this cave. Be sure to subscribe to the CX Podcast Network for more sports shows like MLB and NASCAR. Check out the North Benchwarmers page for another exclusive interview coming soon. Follow us on Twitter at The Will Deal and Colton at Colt_45. That's 3 T's. I've been saying it wrong this whole time. I thought it was a period. It's an underscore. But anyways, Logan, where can the people find you?
Logan H_4 on all platforms.
All right. Again, you all can find me in this cave. But thanks to Logan and Colton for being on the show today. And thank you all for watching. And until next week, be smooth, you guys.